Triple H offered me, I told him I'd think about it.
Oh, wow.
I was like, I should have cried, shouldn't I? We were the very first class that was predominantly athletes. We got a little picked on for it.
I feel like it's going to be very similar to Olympic athlete village situation.
It is. We're like the fresh bait. Everyone's like, who are these people? Who are they? Oh my God, ooh la la.
Welcome if you're entering the Belle, this is DS, and today we've got very special guest here. We've got Lete here in the house.
Yeah!
No, I am so excited to have you here because we've all seen your very candid video and your whole journey through WWE. Those videos were so informative. It got all the fans like fall in love with you, or some fans did not like it. I don't know. It depends. Yeah. I think it was very candid perspective of almost like an outsider into pro wrestling, so I'm so excited to talk to you.
Yeah, well, I remember whenever I was told I was going to be getting into WWE, I was like, okay, what do I feel like they're missing? And I feel like they're missing that behind the scenes effect of like showing people the day to day. So I remember the first time I had like a major interview at the PC was with Shawn Michaels, and he kind of asked us like what we're here for, what we feel like our purpose is. And I was like, I feel like my purpose is to document my journey, the ups, the downs. It was almost like my duty to do that.
And to introduce to people who might not be familiar with Lete, you were in WWE for a year, right?
Yeah, like a year and some change, almost like a year, 3 or 4 months.
And your resume is super impressive. Even before WWE, you were a D1 volleyball player as well as Miss Indiana, the third runner-up of Miss USA.
Yeah. So that was like a whole different journey, like going from pageantry to wrestling all in its own.
But let's talk about some wrestling here.
Okay.
So what was your relationship with pro wrestling before this WWE tryout?
I've been really transparent with this on a bunch of my TikToks. I was raised in a very conservative household where it was like we weren't allowed to cuss, we weren't allowed to do, which I do now sometimes, but very strict, and like I wasn't even allowed to watch some cartoons. So wrestling was something that I was never allowed to watch and something that never sparked my interest because I never saw it. I remember going to the tryout and even kind of being like, what is going on? What are we doing? And there were a few like big time names that walked in, and I'm like, I feel like I looked this up when I Googled before coming to the tryout, but like, is that person? And someone's like, yes, like that guy's huge. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel so like naive and out of place. And I was fully aware that like I had a lot of catching up to do in understanding the wrestling world.
I love that because there's like a compilation of you saying wrong things like, I love when you said
all the time.
Yo, I just talked to the executive in 3H for like...
They went Solo Sakoma Northern American title.
3H?
And I'm trying my best. Like, I really am. I'm like, okay. And I said it wrong, and I still chose to post it sometimes because I wanted it to be the authentic journey, and I wanted to show people that, hey, I'm figuring it out. Yes, I've accomplished these things that have led me here. Yes, I'm a hard worker. I'm motivated, and all these different things, but like, I'm still figuring it out.
So let's talk about the tryout. So how did you learn about this WWE tryout, and how did you get to apply for it?
Yeah, so I think they found me through my Wonder Woman TikTok.
Oh.
Yeah, so I used to cosplay as Wonder Woman. I had this account that I had only had for about like 7 months, and it just kind of like blew up to have 700,000 followers. I currently am not active on it anymore, so it's kind of just sitting stagnant, but that's how they found me. And my manager at the time was like, hey, WWE wants to work with you. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, what kind of collab do they want to do? Do they want me to make like a post for them? Are they coming into town? And she was like, no, they want you to go to a tryout. And I was like, me? And she's like, yeah, I think it makes sense. Like, you were a D1 volleyball player, you act, and you currently cosplay as Wonder Woman. That's literally the WWE, like, mixed together. Right. Okay, when you put it that way, it is very enticing. So I went to the tryout. I also, at this time, carried my Wonder Woman outfit with me everywhere because I was, like, consistently cosplaying and making content. At the tryout, the guy was the one who contacted me to come. He was like, oh my gosh, did you bring the outfit? And I was like, what outfit are you talking about? He's like the Wonder Woman costume. And I was like, yeah. At the tryout, people dress up as characters. And I had no idea that people were supposed to dress up, that we were supposed to put on a character. I just happened to be a character all the time because of Wonder Woman.
So was there like a preliminary interview before the actual like physical tryout?
I think my manager dealt with most of that, but with other people who came in with me, I think they sought people out. So they found people on social media. They did some background checks. They kind of saw like their personality through videos and different things like that. And then they were invited to the tryout. I know another way, if you guys watching this it's your dream to be in WWE, there is a WWE recruit page, and you can go to that and apply. And I would say, like, keep applying. Like, don't quit, because there are some people that were at our tryout that applied multiple times, and then they ended up going to the tryout, and then 2 of them ended up being in my class in the WWE.
Oh, this is an educational video. I love this. So tell me about the tryout process. So what was like surprising to you? What was like the vibe of the process?
I was in game mode when I went. I didn't know what to expect. It's been a few years since I played volleyball. Most of the people at the tryout were coming straight out of college, and of course I like modeled and acted and then did Miss USA. So I was really in slender shape, probably like the smallest I've ever been. So I was like, okay, it's gonna be mind over matter. Like, I really have to like put forth the effort in that area, and I'm gonna be exhausted, but I'm not gonna quit. It was physically draining with like a bunch of crunches and squats and like these crazy warm-ups where we run around. But once you can get past like the mental state of like, hey, I'm gonna be okay, it wasn't so bad. It was more about like showing personality, being loud, being confident, and encouraging the people around you, and like just showing that you're a star and you're not just someone that's meant to fit in.
Was there anything specific from the tryout process that you think was the hardest?
Oh my gosh, the bumping. Okay, wait. Or the hitting the ropes. You guys, remember in WrestleMania where like we had Snoop hit the ropes like this? And you're like, why did he hit the ropes like that? It's because they hurt. I did not know. I thought they were like gonna be bungee and like soft and stretchy. We all had like huge welting bruises on our back from the tryout. Like, I remember the last day, everyone's like, whose is the biggest? We're all like looking in the mirror at our purple and black back. That was a surprise for sure. And also the bumping, like literally falling on the ground. It's so unnatural, and so many people got, injured from it, or they were like just kind of shocked with the pain they felt the first few times that it happened, including myself. I was not prepared to fall on my back like that.
So after that experience, without knowing much about pro wrestling, when you were offered the contract, how was that experience like, and what was going through your mind?
Well, they actually offered me the contract before the last day.
Oh.
Yeah, they kind of pulled me aside in a room, and they kept me after, and they're like, hey, we want to know where your thoughts are and where you are with this if we decide to offer you.
I got offered a position to be in the WWE. Who is she?
And at the time, I had a few acting gigs going on, so I told them, like, hey, I have a few things going on. I'm still new to this. I don't know if this is where I'm supposed to be. I don't know if this is for me. And so I knew going in, like, okay, like, I can do this if I want to. Like, I'm going to assess the last day and see how it happens. The last day was our big promo day. We had groups, and we, like, roasted different groups, and we went in on them. And that day, everyone was just laughing and joking with each other. And I sat there, and I was like, wow. I feel like I'm meant to be here. And it was the same feeling I had when I committed to play D1 volleyball. So I was like, okay, something's happening here. And then when Triple H offered me, I told him I'd think about it.
Oh, wow!
Well, it was just so new to me. And previously, like when I had different offers for brand deals or for acting gigs, I would always say, hey, let me look at my schedule. I'll think about it. Like, I never told anyone like yes right away, because in the entertainment industry, you kind of have to see like what other options and opportunities come along before you can be put on hold for something. And so that was kind of like my mindset going into it. It's like, okay, this is nice, but what other offer might come?
Can you describe Triple H's face when you said that?
Oh, they were all chill, but I was shooting the shit with Triple H the whole time, and I think it's because as a child, like, I didn't know who this guy was. Like, now I knew he's a big deal in the company, this, that, and the other, but I didn't have him on this high pedestal of like, oh my gosh, it's Triple H. I was like, yo, this is a guy who's big and tough, and he looks cool. So I'm like going over, joking with him every day, like buddy with him. So I get called in. I remember like specifically like sitting back, and I was like, what's up, guys? And then I saw a camera, like a really high def camera, like in front of me. And I was like, oh, this looks a little bit more serious. And I like remember like sitting up straight and being like, and he's just kind of like chuckling, like, okay, this is, here we go. Then he offered me, and I told him like, I'd think about it. And he said, well, we'd like to sweeten the deal. We'd like to invite you to stay and see WrestleMania for the first time and be invited in my suite to watch it. And I was like, well, I'll definitely stay for that. That sounds cool.
I love that you said that, because I think they were filming the reactions of the people that's recruited.
Yeah, they never released ours. Never. Because I'm like, oh, I want to see our reactions. But like, nope, can't find them anywhere. I think they deleted the files. They're probably like, oh, like this girl ruined everything for us. Everyone was like, I was bawling, I cried. And I'm just like, I feel like I'm delusional. Like I'm in a different universe right now. Like something's not right. I was like, I should have cried, shouldn't I? I was like, I just totally read that so wrong.
So when did you finally decide that this is the route?
Stuff. So I'm a very big believer in God, in the universe, in science, and energy, spirituality, and stuff started kind of falling apart for me in LA. I was like, you know what? I think these doors are being closed so that this door can be opened. And I just went with my gut and said, hey, when I'm 100 years old, I'd rather tell an interesting story than a boring one. Right. So I'm going to do it because what's more interesting than being a pageant queen and then joining the WWE? Not much.
So, okay, let's talk about you finally coming to WWE Performance Center. How did you get to decide everyone's name? Did you have a name there?
So the name I went by, I don't even know, should I say it? Okay, I went by Stella.
Oh.
Stella Lily.
Stella Lily. I like that.
It happens a little bit different for everyone. So some people, like I have a friend who she was told the day before, they're like, hey, this is your name. You're going to be on Level Up tomorrow. I had another person where they're like, hey, send us like a list of 10 names. And then her last name actually became her first name and her first name became her last name. So they switched it up that way. And then I had another friend that's like, hey, I really want this name. This is what it means to me. This is why it's so important. And like kind of wrote a whole little like brief about why she wants this name, and then she got it. So it kind of happens in different ways. I chose Stella because I'm a star. So Stella is the star and I'm like, I'm the star. I'm in the WWE, a superstar. It made sense. And they wanted me to be a bad guy. So I was like, it's pretty arrogant to think that you're like the biggest star.
Like you said, there's so much mystery about the WWE Performance Center system, how it works. In the fans' perspective, outsider perspective, is it like a school where you attend certain amount of classes every week? Are there assignments and monthly tests? Like, how does that work?
You know, I wish I could give you a straight answer, but the schedules change. Like every 2 to 3 months. Like they keep us on our toes. Like we're working there and we're like finally get comfortable with the schedule, and then they're like, new schedule's coming out, and you're like, oh, okay. In the sense of classes, so the new classes like my own, we had history classes where we learned about wrestling because they knew that some of the athletes that people spent time in D1 or professionally, they would have to like learn the culture of wrestling and understand the history behind it so that they could appreciate it and understand, you know, which style they like and how to kind of get into the culture that it is now. So that was something that was interesting, having history lessons. There's a lot of messed up stories in the WWE. Iron Claw's out right now, and that was a story that we talked about in wrestling like all the sons, it was I was like, oh my gosh.
And what are some like other class, or is it like a training?
It's like training, like every day. So it's kind of like how professional athletes are. I would describe wrestlers as professional athletes and actors at the same time. They go in, we have a 2-hour class every day, and then we have gym every day where we have personal trainers leading us through programs that they have. We have a dietitian getting our nutrition to the peak performance that we're able to do to gain muscle mass or to gain whatever body shape that person's going for. You know, in the WWE, I think they celebrate really every body type. So everyone has a different nutrition plan and workout plan. They kind of like tailor it to your body type and the style that you're wanting. And then they have open ring, which is a time where we can go and like work on new moves and craft our skills and kind of just try different things with different people or work with people that aren't in our classes if we want to. So kind of like 5 hours of working out every day. Gets you in shape, let me tell you.
I love the video that you made, like 10 things I did not know before joining WWE. I love that video. And one of the things that really stuck out to me was that you're not given a character, but you have to create your own character?
Yeah, so I was shocked. So I remember like going into the WWE, I was like, oh, I wonder what character they give me. Like, what are they gonna want me to play? Are they wanting me to be a good guy or a bad guy? So for me, since I'm so tall, they're like, bad guy. You're not a good guy. I was like, and they're like, no, like, how can we, where are you fighting under someone? Like, there's no underdog story here. You're like a foot taller than everyone here. So, you can't be the good guy and then just beat the crap out of everyone. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. They kind of gave me direction with stuff like that because of my body type. And then they kind of just tell you to try a bunch of things. Like, I remember when I first went, I wanted to be more like Wonder Woman-esque because that's what I was comfortable with. And then I realized I'm not so soft and eloquent when I speak, and I'm not just stoic. I'm like crazy. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to be like a louder character. I'm gonna have to be like a little bit more like over the top. And everyone says it's you times 10. So whatever your personality is, whatever you want to show, it's still you, but it's times 10.
Got it. So do you have to like communicate that with the creative team?
So we have these classes that we take for acting. We call them promo classes, where we work on different types of promos for different scenarios. Right. And the creative team kind of watches those to get ideas. So sometimes people will give a promo, and then the next week it's really cool. Like they'll be giving that promo on TV because creative liked it so much. So we're constantly pitching ourselves through our promo class, whether they look at all the promos or not. And they could at any time go back and look at them to like see, to get ideas, or to see like, oh, actually like this person's not working out here, but maybe they'll work out better at Raw with this character. You know, maybe they'll do this. So sometimes people get pulled up when they're not in NXT so much. And I think it's just kind of like right place, right time. What do they need?
The outfits. You know, the outfits, like one of my favorite parts of wrestling. But you have to make it yourself? Do you have like allowances for it? Like how does that work?
So this was something that I was also very much not aware of. I thought we were going to get like a costume person, and we were like, you know, how it is in acting, like this is what you're going to wear. No, you like find gear. So they're called gear designers, and we go and we find somebody that makes gear, and we send them our design, and they can either make it like that or they can like not make it like that. You kind of trial and error who you like and who you don't like. It is a very busy industry too. A lot of gear makers take a lot of time to make it. It was just like, I was just so not used to it. And especially coming from the model world, I was used to like sizing being different. I remember I got my first set of gear, and it was like so tight that my muscles were like bulging out of it. And I was like, okay, something's not right here. And they're like, well, it has to be tight so it doesn't slip when you're wrestling. And I was like, I guess, but I look crazy right now. So the wrestling gear, yes, we actually don't get it from the company. We design it ourselves, or we hit somebody up and they design it. A lot of fans are awesome, and they create artwork for different workers or characters, which is really nice because a lot of talent just kind of like goes to Instagram and is like, hey, does anybody have any gear ideas? And they'll just like get DMs from people who are designers, and they're really great ideas.
So it is like wrestlers' responsibility to come up with an attire.
Yes.
Wow.
So the people that you see like having a different outfit every time, like they're on top of it. Give them their credit, because they're putting in work to like work with a designer and come up with ideas, and they're constantly like thinking about their character, thinking about their matches. And like people that have matches like way down the road, you know, if it makes sense, like, okay, stand and deliver. Maybe you want to have something that has flags in the United States, like something American. You got to like plan that out. Like, okay, I think I'm going to be in stand and deliver. This is this far away. Like, okay, I need to start creating a design right now.
That must be quite an investment for wrestlers. Wow.
Yes.
Wow. So I'm curious how, with the Performance Center trainee, like how the contract work? Like, do they all get the same amount when they were offered at the tryouts? And then how long it lasts for?
Yeah, I think for honestly the past a very long time, we've all had the same contract. There's no budging. It's a 3-year contract. You can choose to leave. They can choose to let you go. It's kind of how it is. 3 years locked and loaded. That's it.
Got it.
Yeah.
I was minding my manners asking you about salary, because, you know, that's a bad etiquette. I want to ask you about wrestling etiquette. Because you talked about in your video that you dug yourself in quite a hole and you didn't even know that you made a mistake. So how did you learn about all these wrestling etiquettes? Because it's not everyday etiquette.
It is definitely not. And I feel like, so my class that came in, we were the very first class that was predominantly athletes. So coming from being a college athlete. So we were not, you know, on the indies wrestling. We didn't come from the wrestling world. I think we got a little picked on for it, which, you know, that's not surprising at all. You know, like if someone's entering a new industry, like if I'm a professional volleyball player and then someone just comes in and they were a professional soccer player, I'd be like, why did they hire this girl? She doesn't even like play this sport. Like, what is happening? You know what I mean? Like, so it made sense why this was happening, but no one really told us. Like, they're like, hey, go say hi to everyone. And we're like, okay. And we would like go to say hi to people, but you know, they're turning their backs. They're not looking like they wanted to say hi. So we're just like, okay, they don't want to say hi, whatever. And like moving about our day. But then it's like 2 weeks later, we have an all-girls meeting. You didn't say hi to us. And it's like, you didn't look like you wanted to say hi. So I think it's like a respect thing of, of getting outside of your comfort zone. And even if someone doesn't want to look like they want to talk to you, you still need to go say hi and acknowledge them. I think in this company, a lot of people just want to be acknowledged. I mean, tribal chief, am I right? But it is true. Like, everyone just kind of like wants to be like the cool kid on the block. And I will say the ultimate superstars, the people who are huge, the Rhea Ripleys, the Charlotte Flairs, like, they carry themselves in such a way that they're undeniable when they walk in a room and you say hi to them, and they also are approachable to say hi. They're not thinking they're better than someone. They're not turning their back. Like, the superstars that are the superstars at the top are superstars for a reason, because they are inviting to everyone, because they know who they are. They know their place at the company, and they're at that place for a reason.
That's interesting. Was there any, like, locker room leader that was helping you guys with the etiquette part of stuff?
You know, we had some people that would have tough conversations with us. Zoe Stark was one of them. I actually really admire how she dealt with conflict straight on. Instead of talking about people behind their back, she would go to someone, to the source, and be like, hey, what's going on here? And I respected her a lot for that. Like, I think that's hard, especially in an environment where it's so competitive and people are always like looking at other people to point fingers and kind of see what's going on. She was the person who was like, hey, this isn't right, or hey, like, let's fix this, or hey, this is what's going on. And so that was really cool to see her in leadership. And then when she stepped away, kind of, you know, didn't really have anybody at NXT. But also good for her to moving up. You know, she deserves it.
Yeah, no, I'm so happy for her, yeah. Another questions I think a lot of fans have. NXT and Performance Center. It's young, hot people. All in the same area. I feel like it's going to be very similar to Olympic Athlete Village situation.
It is.
There will be
100%.
a lot of dating.
Yep, I dated someone. Yes. So every class that comes in, we're like the fresh bait. Everyone's like, who are these people? Who are they? Oh my God, ooh la la. And then people warn you about that too. They're like, hey, be on edge. Like, people are going to be after you. I remember some of my girlfriends were like, oh my gosh, all these people are in my DMs. I'm like, oh, girl. So it is like that. And I think it's like that because the wrestling world is just such a place where you don't understand everything that goes into it unless you're in it. It's so hard to explain to Bob down the street that works his 9 to 5, like, hey, babe, I gotta go this weekend and just be around a bunch of hottie, meaty, good-looking people.
Right.
And also, I'm gonna, like, have this fake fling with somebody. But, like, don't worry. We're gonna kiss on TV, but, like, you know, it's not... Like, you know, it's just confusing for other people. And they're like, well, why are you at work so much? Why are you in that group with this guy that you are friends with? It's just... It's easier if people understand what's happening rather than people like, wait, so what's going on? Wait, who are you fighting next week? I thought you guys were good now. Like, it's just way easier for someone in the industry. And plus, when you're in the industry, you can get advice from them. They can help you out with moves. Like, honestly, some of the people that are thriving the most are dating people that are on a different level than them, and they can help them out. And I'm just like... Shout out to you. You figured the code out, girl. You figured the code out, my guy. Like, you know what I mean? And people are really, you know, taking it to their advantage. And I think they should. Like, it makes sense. And you're kind of always surrounding that people. I mean, a lot of the higher ups are also dating each other, too.
Yeah, you're
We're married to each other.
I feel like if you date in such a small pool, there must be some drama coming out, though.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always joke that if they made a reality TV show around what happens at the PC, it would be way bigger than the show that they have right now at NXT.
I think you have a great idea. Executive producer.
I pitched it so many times. I was like, you guys, we have to do something here. And they're like, yeah, that's a good idea. I think it's just they have so much going on, you know, with the show. I mean, that's a whole production every week. And the fact that they're able to put that out every week is amazing. So, you
know, you already kind of alluded to it a little bit, but it's very interesting how Performance Center has mix of very different people. So we've got a group of people that's from independent scene. They grew up loving pro wrestling.
Yep.
They have idols growing up. They breathe and live wrestling. And then also WWE started really hiring college athletes that's not necessarily had that love for pro wrestling at first. How was that dynamic like having such different group in one place?
Yeah, like I said previously, I think when the first athlete group came in, you could tell it was like the indie wrestlers versus the athletes. Not so much verse, but it was kind of like those were the groups you hung around. And the more athletes that came in, I think the more the indies wrestlers kind of got used to them and they saw their hustle and their drive. I mean, Obafemi came in with me and he's now the North American champion Did I say that right? Northern American title.
Yes, I think so,
I said it right, guys! Oh, Femi, North American champions. Everybody makes mistakes. We're just gonna have a Hannah Montana moment.
Yeah, I mean, like, Tiffany Stratton is killing it.
Oh, killing it. I will say Tiffany Stratton, I remember the very first time I came to NXT and we had a show, they like hosted the recruits, and I saw her and I was like, that's it. Like, I saw her and I was like, that's it. She's gonna dominate this whole industry. And then she's gonna hopefully go and be in a movie.
Yeah, she could get everything.
Yeah,
Everything.
like I want that for her. I want her to go to the top in the wrestling world, and then I want her to go to the top in the acting world. Like I want her to be it, because I really feel like she has it.
In a recent vlog, you talked about leaving WWE. You liked wrestling, but you didn't love it.
Yeah.
So now that you left WWE, where are you now? How do you feel about the whole thing?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I have done so much reflecting in the past few months, and I did love wrestling. Like I loved like the friends I made, the people I met, kind of like the culture that I came upon, but I didn't love putting my body at risk every day. I didn't love the injuries I saw behind the scenes. People talk about wrestling being fake. The injuries are sure not fake, let me tell you that. I have seen way more things and way more injuries than I would like to, like, in my entire life combined. You really have to look at wrestling as, like, these people are putting their lives on the line every time to entertain you. Like, every time they're risking their life. And I just wasn't willing to risk my life to entertain people. I think that's what it came down to. I think whenever I was thinking about stepping away from wrestling at the WWE, I saw it as a failure. Or I thought people would see it as a failure. But my ultimate goal when I went to the WWE was to get paid to learn something new and to inspire people to be their authentic selves and spread positivity. And I did those two things to my absolute core all the time, the best way I could. And I remember talking with someone, they're like, well, I think it's a good time to go because you accomplished everything that you wanted. And I was like, what are you talking about? And they're like, you literally had a very successful time in the WWE at the PC. And I was like, wow, I really did. Like, it took someone remembering my goals when I first got there to make me realize that, like, my time there was a success and not a failure. It's a failure deemed by society or deemed by others. And success looks different to different people, and failure looks different to different people. And so I really viewed my time there as like a huge success and growth opportunity for myself. And I'm very proud of myself.
I think that's a really beautiful message because, you know, everyone's going for that championship, that top spot, but it's really about your personal journey and what you think is a success for yourself.
Yeah, and of course, everybody wants to be holding that title belt. But I'm gonna be honest, every time I was there, I was never like, yeah, I'm gonna be holding that title belt. I was always just kind of like, I'm gonna have fun.
Is there anyone that you're really grateful from WWE Performance Center or NXT talents that you want to, like, give a little shout out?
Oh my gosh. I'm grateful for a lot of people there. I'm grateful for one of the medical staff there, Christian. I'm grateful for Coach Gerard, Biff. He was also in NXT. He is amazing, amazing, amazing. Also my girl Danny Palmer, Little Miss Danny Palmer. There's a lot of people there that I love. I mean, there's so many great people. We got Miss Ariana Grace, a fellow pageant queen. There's so many people that I really appreciate there, and I'm really grateful for, and I've learned a lot from. I've learned a lot about myself, about what I want in life, and I think you would just ask me, like, what's next for me? And what's next for me is acting and hosting. I love to be on the mic. When I was at the PC, I would be on the mic all the time. We would have different shows that we did, and we'd also have different practice shows, and every time I would be talking on the mic. And that's where my true passion is and where I'm going from here.
Let's talk a little bit more about that. What's next for Lete? Like, where do you think we can see you more?
You're gonna see me on the red carpet. You're gonna see me in private jets. You're gonna see me in helicopters. I am going to be pursuing hosting, like I said, being on the microphone, and also acting. I was acting a little bit before I came to the WWE, and while I was there, when I was going through the trials and tribulations, I was talking to someone that helped with people's performance and acting there, and they're like, girl, you have to, if this doesn't work out, you have to pursue it. You have to go for it. And as soon as I realized wrestling wasn't for me, I was like, all right, I know what's next.
The big question in pro wrestling, and I think we already a little bit discussed it, is WWE's new hiring process of getting athletes, college athletes. From your personal experience and being inside there, what do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think it's a successful change?
I think they need both to succeed. I really do. I think that, yes, it's great having the athletes come in that have this competitive nature and are quick to learn because they're used to learning. Like literally, whenever you're a college athlete, your job is to learn and adapt quickly. And that's the same thing that's happening at the Performance Center. But I think it's also important to have people that have been in the industry to lead those people. So there's people like JC Jane, there's people like Gigi that are really great leaders in the sense of teaching others how to wrestle and kind of showing them the ropes of getting to where they need to be.
That was our interview. Thank you so much. But last question is, what message do you have for the fans, the wrestling fans, who gave you a lot of love, but also some of them had a lot to say about you? So
Yeah.
What do you want to tell the wrestling fans?
Man, I had so much fun. Through the love and the hate, I really appreciated like everything that everyone brought. Everyone, I can say, is very passionate. And I respect passion over anything. I think it's important to be passionate about things in life, and I definitely got both sides of that passion. But I think that's important because I think if you only have one side, then you're not truly living in your truth. And I think Tiffany Stratton is a great example. I'm hyping her up so much, but I feel like she's a great example because people love her and they hate her. So she's doing something right. At least they're talking.